Hello. I'm sorry. This is why they don't let Tawana and I work together a lot.
She just goes, hello.
Hello, everybody.
Well, it is what day of the week is it? It's Saturday.
Saturday, yes. It is another alert day, third in a row.
We've had a lot of these this week. We had some over the weekend, and we just have to keep an eye on everything going on because while it's quiet right now, and you're probably like, I'm just going to enjoy a little bit of
It's been so sunny.
outside time.
Yeah, it's been nice.
We still have to watch the storms off to our west because we've seen numerous tornado warnings, even more severe thunderstorm warnings.
Lightning.
So next couple of hours going to be very active across the area.
Yeah, for sure. And we have seen several tornado warnings further to our west. None right now, though.
Which is good.
Yes, that is good. We've been saying pretty much the last several days that wind will be the main threat that we'll see. And that's really what's starting to unfold, especially for areas just into western Indiana, moving in from almost central Illinois. We have a couple of you guys commenting. So if you have any questions, we'll do our best to answer those. I'm going to try to let a few more people comment. Whoopsie, I did not mean to click off that. But this is why I should be in charge.
Technology. I gotta love it. Never works when you want it to.
Exactly. So the line, I took the lightning off so you can kind of see a better view of where the storms are, where the warnings are. And again, they're all kind of moving in from our west and even a few further to our south in western Kentucky.
Yeah, we do have to keep an eye on that because that area further to the south has been quiet for most of the day. Quieter than further to the north of 64. So we do have to keep an eye on how things trend because there's a little bit more energy in that area for those of you further to the south. So of course we are watching it, which is why I am here.
Yes.
My day off.
This is Tawana's off day. She's trying to help your girl out. So I didn't have to be here by myself. Brian Good has also been on standby. He was here. We traded off. I think he left at almost 3 a.m.
3 a.m.
I came in at 1:30 in the morning. So we were just hanging out, watching the radar. So trust us, we don't like these setups either.
I literally texted Jessica earlier today. I'm like, I'm coming in because I'd rather have anxiety about the storms here
than at home.
And have to worry about driving like a mad woman, which you shouldn't do anyway.
Right, exactly, especially
up the road. So
yeah,
that's
especially
the big thing.
Not when it's raining and storming too. I do want to throw up the winds, so you can see a couple of pockets of some gustier winds near Vincennes in Indiana. Oh my gosh, that's hard to say. Looks like they just shaved back part of that warnings. Yeah, still for Carmi, Illinois. I used to know someone who lived there.
Yeah.
So this is all going to be moving into Evansville, and it's kind of taking a northeasterly turn. And we've been really watching, as Tawana's been saying, the energy. We saw a lot of sun today, which is not ideal.
And we warmed up quite a bit as well. A lot of areas, 80s, close to 90s.
Yeah.
So that will play a role in everything that we see later on today, especially as we head within the next 1 to 2 hours. That's when things are really going to
start popping off
across the area. So I guess we'll just go through some of the comments that we've had so far. So thank you for everyone who's watching. I forgot that the screen is touch screen.
I blew her mind.
I got really excited about this earlier. Glenda, hi. Hope you are doing well. And yes, we're also hoping for the best.
I know.
William, thank you for watching, and we're here with y'all. We want to make sure everyone is safe and okay, especially since it is a holiday weekend. Everyone's still out and about, wants to enjoy the outside, so we want to make sure.
Especially the fireworks. And we just heard that Carly Pierce's concert got canceled in Jeffersonville.
Because of that severe storm threat. Apparently she did not want to go on with that threat there.
Yeah, that's complicated.
So that's a really complicated situation for everyone to be in. Mary, hello from Sonora. Quiet here with the storm so far, but the storm's real bad last night. Yeah, those were pretty rowdy.
They were intense, yeah.
So that's something else that, of course, we'll be keeping an eye on for tonight. Johnny, it poured down in Eminence today. Yeah, storms this morning were very loud, a lot of heavy rain. Because I woke up this morning. First, I was like, I need to check on her.
You did, yeah. You were up early too. I appreciate that.
And then I had the windows open
effort.
with my little cup of tea and just watching the rain because I'm a nerd.
There was a ton of lightning, though, especially near Madison.
But I
don't think too much damage we heard about. So
that's good. Linda, it absolutely poured in Brandenburg this morning. Yes, of course. The heavy rain was one of the thing. We'll get into Ashley to answer your question, who's the most at risk in just a second. Judy, we appreciate you watching and keeping us informed, of course.
It's quite literally our jobs.
And we would be doing it either way if it wasn't our jobs.
Yes,
we love this
true.
so much. Carolyn, hoping it stays away so we can get Bullitt County tonight at Bullitt Blast. So here's the thing. If you're going to Bullitt Blast, it's just going to be something you have to watch closely because the storms are coming. Thankfully, they don't look to be as strong. Carissa, you have a question about the tornado risk. We'll get into that in a bit as well. I think a lot of people just want to know how it is for them. So let's just dive into the forecast, and I'm going to touch the other
There you go. There you go. You touched it.
I feel fancy.
So, again, this is why they don't let us do this very often. It's the weekend, so we were able to sneak in. But we do have a severe thunderstorm watch, just a watch. That means the ingredients are kind of in place. That's going to be for all the counties in yellow, which essentially is all of our counties north of the parkways. It does include all of the Louisville Metro. It's mainly, I would say, like south of Bardstown and E-Town, where that they're not included. But this kind of corridor, the Storm Prediction Center has already outlined it for seeing some potentially damaging wind gusts. So of course, we have to watch it very closely, but it's a severe thunderstorm watch, which means that we have better chances of strong storms and on the severe side rather than the tornado-y side is what I like to say.
Yeah. So
tornado-y.
Tornado-y. I like that. But I like to explain because some people don't always know the difference between a watch and a warning.
This is true.
So the way I like to explain it is in terms of cookies. When you have a watch, you are watching all of the ingredients out in front of you.
On the table.
And they're on the table waiting for you to put the ingredients together so you can start making the cookies. So watch, you have the ingredients. A warning is that cookie is in your hand and it's going straight into your mouth. So that means you are prepared for what is going on right now.
It is happening.
It is happening. You're excited. We're not excited about the storms, but we're excited about the cookie. So that is the way I like to explain it. Some other people like to explain it with tacos. I
was just thinking the taco thing. Yeah.
Same idea. So it's something we're going to be watching the storms pretty closely throughout the rest of the night, even after this watch expires. So which
is until 11.
It's till 11 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll be watching that closely.
This alert day, it has been labeled a code red alert day just because the enhanced risk, how much of our area has been included. And that's going to be one of our next slides we show in just a second. But that's one of the reasons that we have the code red, because it's a little bit higher of a risk of some stronger storms. But I will say some of the more high resolution data we've been looking at hasn't been, all day, for being real, it hasn't been very consistent, but it has shown the line weakening a little bit, which would be good, but still it could bring some gusty winds and heavy rain. We've already picked up quite a bit of rain so far today. We don't really need more, but that's what we're going to be expecting with round one tonight. More so kind of a congealed line that's moving in from our west. So likely right around 9 p.m. Could see the rain last till around 2 a.m.
And then we have that second round tomorrow. So while we get through this first batch, of course, got to watch what's happening tomorrow afternoon into the evening hours. So the 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. time frame. Don't worry, we got you. Don't worry, we would not let you do this alone. If you don't know, Jessica works the double shifts on weekends. So you'll see her morning and night, both Saturday and Sunday.
Get real tired of me on the weekends.
Which is why we would never let anyone do it alone anyway, but especially her, since she already has such a crazy shift.
It is very much a team effort, so I am super appreciative. I have nice coworkers who care about me.
We're all a weird little family over here. And then all severe threats. Emphasis on the weird. All severe threats are on the table as well as we head into tonight and tomorrow. But of course, as we mentioned, the damaging wind threat is the main thing that we're watching for today. So I guess let's just go into what those threats are, answering some of the questions that we have. So Ashley, no, we did not answer your question yet. Let's dive into it. So in terms of what the main threats are, the damaging wind threat, we're talking wind gusts 58 miles per hour and higher with some of these thunderstorms. That's the main thing we're going to be watching as these storms barrel through. There is potential also for some large hail, especially for those of you further to the west. That's the second thing that we're keeping an eye on. Next is the flooding threat. So we've had so many rounds of rain over the past couple of days. So the ground is absolutely soggy. So anything on top of that could lead to some localized flooding issues. So we'll have to watch everything very closely. The tornado threat is low. Notice it's the lowest threat that we have on this ranking.
I don't know why that red just went away. Keep talking. Sorry. I'm going to fix. There we go.
It's okay. And that's just something that we'll have to keep an eye on. But overall, and once again, the damaging wind threat, Ashley, just to answer your question there. And Ashley, you also said that.
Oh, well, hello. Where did we go?
Well, let's see if we can get things back up there.
There we go.
There we go. Don't know what happened there.
I don't know what happened.
Once again, technical difficulties.
How many are we going to have today?
It's been a long day.
I'm like,
but yeah, so those are the main things that I guess it just doesn't like.
Oh,
yes, there we go. So those are the main things that we watch. I also like that Ashley said she used the taco explanation for her sister.
Nice.
You got to do what you got to do to help people learn overall. So yeah, so that's what we're dealing with. The damaging wind threat that's the main thing we're watching. The hail will be next, in addition to the flooding threat. And then the tornado threat will be last. It's not zero, but it's low. So that's some good news there.
We also see some questions. Susan Smith, she says, I hope we don't get as much rain as we did this morning. My backyard is still drying out and the rain stopped around 1:30 in the afternoon. Yeah, it just kept redeveloping along what we call, I explained it a little bit this morning, along these boundaries that can form with the showers and storms that move through. We have rain-cooled air that kind of rushes out in front of those storms, and that can create boundaries that other thunderstorms can form off of. It's kind of like a trigger almost. So that's what we were dealing with a lot this morning, which is why the forecast was a lot of fun and very complicated.
Yes. This is one of those situations where it can be very stressful for us in terms of the forecast, because it ends up being really much a now casting situation. Because one, the models do not initialize well, so they're not handling the situation.
Yeah, they're just like, we don't know.
They're all.
They're like, maybe not.
They're not agreeing on anything. Two, sometimes these systems like to kind of just do whatever they want, follow where most of the heat, most of the moisture is. So they'll be heading in one direction and then they'll decide to, like, let's say, turn another one. So these types of situations are incredibly complicated, and we are working very, very hard to make sure that we give you as accurate of a forecast as we possibly can, because
we're always transparent too.
Yes. So we want to make sure you know that, like, as confused that you may be sometimes about this forecast, we're literally staring confused.
Yes.
The computer
we're doing our best over here.
Like, hold on, what is this trying to do? So yeah,
gotta bear with us sometimes.
We are working hard on this as well. So I guess we should dive into what the outlook is across the area right now. So let's look at that.
Yeah, this is the level 3 of 5 risk, which is an enhanced risk. It's like in the middle of the scale, but it's once you get to an enhanced risk, it starts to like kind of catch your attention. You're like, oh, okay, this could get a little dicey. So they did shift it just a little bit further, a hair further to the east of I-65, but really it's going to be mostly along and west of I-65. That's going to be both for Indiana and Kentucky, but it does include just about the majority of our southern Indiana counties, includes the majority of Jefferson County and Kentucky as well. But it kind of stops right near Oldham, Shelby, Spencer, and then it's Nelson too. Yeah,
so this kind of just is a really good explanation about how the storms are going to be really weakening as they move further to the east. So even though you may be in that slight risk, level 2 out of 5, that yellow on your screen, you still need to be paying attention, because you can still see some of those gusty winds. You could still be dealing with a lot of the flooding concerns, especially if these storms weaken and they kind of just sit over you a little bit longer as they move further to the east. So that is something that we'll have to watch. But remember, it's the damaging wind threat. That is the main thing we're going to be watching. So for those of you from basically Jennings County in Indiana over towards Orange County and south towards Litchfield, you are underneath that enhanced risk. And then everybody else further to the east, especially east of Louisville, you're underneath that slight risk. So just giving you that heads up there so you can figure out where you are and
Where you
your
need to be,
threat
yeah.
overall, and start to make your plans as we head into the next hour or two. So I guess we can dive into the timing, because I've seen quite a few people. I will get my words out. Woo!
Story of my life. I mean,
and this is only because the caffeine is finally hitting.
Yes, it's starting to course through your veins.
And I don't drink caffeine, so it's my body.
Oh my gosh, this model.
Okay, so the update. We're going to be seeing this along with you. So this is the update that we haven't seen just yet. So it's the first thing is slowing everything down.
Yeah, substantially.
Which I don't know if I fully agree with. But
I mean, yeah, we're talking about arrival time in the next, I would say 1 to 2 hours.
1 to 2 hours, and it's slowing everything down. So we'll see how this goes. This is the hurt, right? Yeah. Okay. So, and then it tries to keep most of the strong storms in Indiana initially until midnight, and then it pushes more of that severe threat
in the world?
Into portions of Kentucky.
That was not there before. Sorry.
You see how this is when we're like, the models just jump all over the place and they don't always agree.
Yeah, when they're very inconsistent like this, it is incredibly hard to, fine tune the forecast, especially at this point. We should have, especially with the high resolution stuff, we're getting a lot more data to help these become better information for us to use, if that makes sense. Again, words. Again, words.
Yes, it gets pretty complicated pretty quickly when nothing agrees.
Yes, exactly. So that's why we're
to translate to Jessica, that just happened.
The thought was in my head and you translated it. Thank
I
you.
got you. That's how you know.
Yes.
We work together often. But yeah, so that just shows you the change that the modeling has, which I don't know if I agree with.
I don't like this one.
Go back to the radar pretty quickly.
Yes.
Because I just want to explain a little bit more about why we don't necessarily agree with what that particular model is showing right now. Because first thing is that we'll get to it. There we go. First thing is that the storms are already basically on our doorstep, and they are strong at the moment, and they are barreling quickly to the east. These still have plenty of energy in the area. We're well into the 80s right now. So there's fuel for these storms, but there's just not a lot of energy the further east you go in the atmosphere. So as these move in, what's going to happen is that they are going to weaken considerably as they push further into the area. So yes, we have a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings off towards our west, but we'll have to keep an eye on what happens in southern Indiana first, since you're the ones who's really in the firing line right now in terms of what's happening with these storms. But then I do think that we could have another batch of storms firing up across Kentucky, since you've been quieter a little bit later, maybe not as late as what that particular model might be, a few hours off, maybe 3 or 4, especially with what's going on.
These are a little more isolated.
69 as in the Paducah area. So we'll have to keep an eye on those moving in. So there is some rotation with some of those storms south of Paducah. So we'll have to keep an eye on that overall. But remember, once these storms pass Evansville, that tornado threat actually starts to go down a little bit more. And that's something else that the National Weather Service even pointed out in the discussion not too long ago, that tornado threat starts to drop down as it moves into our area. It doesn't go away completely, but it certainly lowers, and we have to keep an eye on the damaging wind threat, because as we've seen for these past rounds of storms, just because there's not a tornado warning doesn't mean you can't get damage. And a lot of people have been still cleaning up from what happened over this past weekend. So just because you think it's just a severe thunderstorm warning doesn't mean you were like, oh, it's fine, I can do whatever and stand outside on my porch. I've seen you do it. Don't do it.
I know. My dad.
We're going to talk to Jessica's dad about this. We're working on it. Yeah. But just a reminder, you have to pay attention to all warnings, not just the tornado warnings, because 60 plus mile per hour wind gusts can do damage on its own. Keep in mind, once those winds get over 70 miles per hour, especially over 74 miles per hour, you're talking about a weak hurricane. Yeah. To put that in perspective for you. So we want to make sure that we are paying close attention. And there we go. Yet another severe thunderstorm warning. Yeah. Moving towards the Du Bois County area. For those of you who may be living there, people there. And I know a lot of people are paying close attention because, of course, all the events happening across the area. We have the Madison Regatta going on right now.
The Independence Festival is happening too.
So for those of you further to the east of 65, I will say closer to 10 o'clock is really when you should be gearing up and starting to pay attention to the forecast a little bit more and checking.
Don't wait until the last minute. Don't be like me. That's what I would do. I procrastinate. Don't procrastinate this.
Make sure you have your plan in place now. And then once we get close to the 8, 9 o'clock, you're like, checking your phone a little more, making sure you're okay. Make sure those phones are charged.
Yes. Tornado warning down in Paducah.
And the Paducah area, we were talking about that rotation, and there you go. So it popped up pretty quickly there. So let's look at what's going on. There is a lot of strong wind embedded in that as well. Sorry that we're squinting so hard at the screen right now. But yeah, there's a considerable amount of wind, and I can see the broad rotation.
Yeah, I'm assuming they mean. Let me pull a Be Good and try to get a little handy dandy pin out. Is that the pin tool?
Is that one? Yeah,
okay,
there you go.
I can't ever remember. So it looks like
right in the Harris Hill, Ford, Iola area is where that rotation is. It's pretty wide for the moment.
Well, this would be going this way, and then that would be
going
that
way.
There
you go.
So it's pretty broad.
It's still pretty broad, but even with that, you can still see some wicked winds with situations like that. So maybe if you have any friends or family that live south of Paducah, just give them a heads up about what they're seeing coming their way right now, especially if they're in the Tatumsville, Berta Vista area, Benton area. Benton
did have some pretty decent rotation there for a little bit. Yeah.
So we'll have to keep an eye on that and that's how well that can hold together as it approaches. That would be more of the Breckenridge County, Grayson County area. That
oh my goodness, sorry.
How she's not, you can tell we're not used to the drawing of the things like Brian is. Let's jump into some questions.
Yes, we have not gone back to the questions in a little
I guess
bit.
we'll scroll. Yeah, so let's see.
You can
no, you're all good. You're all good.
Take over, Captain.
I'm the captain now. So let's see. So go back and answer Carissa's question. No, the tornado risk is not high tonight. It's damaging winds. Yeah. That's what we're looking at. So 60 plus mile per hour wind gusts.
We could still see rotating storms, so don't be surprised if we see a warning, but it's just going to be very minimal, very low threat.
That is a low threat, but it's not zero. Tommy Barnes, what does Madison, Indiana look like? And I know to back up Tommy's question, Tiffany's also asking that. A lot of events happening in Madison, Indiana tonight, hoping the storms will not hit us. Too many people will be outside to take cover. And that is a concern. So yeah, with all the storms moving in, the good thing is that the storms are weakening as they move further to the east, but we could still see some damaging winds across the area as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as we continue to move forward. So according to Blind Good, there is a tornado spotted.
Observed.
There's a hook. You see that hook there now.
Almost.
That just in one scan.
Yeah, that happened really fast.
That happened very, very quickly.
Ooh,
here we go.
Say.
Yeah, that is an incredible amount. Yep. Nope. That makes sense. So if you have anybody in the Iola area, the Draftonville area, the Tatumsville area,
almost near Lane Between the Lakes.
Yeah, that is exactly where if you have any friends or family there. I know there's a lot of people who may be camping this weekend. So if you have any friends who are in that area,
at
Dobson Springs, at the lakes, in Princeton, give them that heads up now. The Cadiz area. This is where we had those intense tornadoes a couple of months ago.
This is
so they have been impacted.
Even just since 2021. Yeah, I think a lot of, I know when I was filling in Bowling Green for a little bit, anytime there was a thunderstorm, there was just so much storm anxiety from just ever since, which it makes sense.
Which makes sense, yes.
Yeah, and I mean, we completely understand, we get that. So that's why we try to keep you calm and not freak you out because we want to help you and kind of guide you through it and tell you what's happening, because a lot of times with anxiety, it's because you don't know what's going to happen and you think the worst. So we try to tell you guys.
Yeah. So it's always a situation where preparedness, not panic. You want to make sure you have the full heads up so you know what's going on. So yeah, one good thing for the Madison, Indiana area is that we have the storms weakening the further east they go. But you still can see the heavy rain, the lightning, the strong winds. So you certainly want to be paying attention as much as possible. Vicky starting to thunder again in Pekin, Indiana. Yes, that makes sense as those storms get closer to you. So just a heads up for you. Just please make sure you're staying weather aware, Vicky, as those storms get closer to you. You're one of the first people who are going to be dealing with it. Mary, any tornado warnings or watches tonight? Not at the moment. And remember, our tornado threat is low. It's damaging wind threat that we have to really keep an eye on. Nelson County, you are one of the spots that we have to watch as well. You're not underneath the severe thunderstorm watch, but that doesn't mean you can't get a strong thunderstorm. So you need to be paying attention as well.
Yeah, just have ways. I said,
I'm sorry. I just stepped on your foot.
No, you didn't. I almost tripped you.
We're just out here trying to take each other out on accident.
It's fine. You're trying to help me. I'm obviously trying to take you down.
It's all good.
You want to make sure you're going to end up like Dusty before long on some crutches.
Let's not do that.
Yeah. We do, though, want to make sure that since this is kind of getting to the time of night that people are going to bed, just don't go to bed without at least checking on things and seeing where the storms are. If there are any warnings, even just like nearby or to the west. And if there are, and you're not going to stay awake, have a way to wake up. Have something that's going to wake you up, because you don't want to get caught, in a tough situation where you're asleep, because that's how a lot of bad situations can happen.
They just extended that severe thunderstorm warning just outside of the Paoli area, which is to be expected as these storms get closer. Carissa had a question. I live in Salem and get off work around 10. Should I wait it out at work or before I head home? We have, it's about to be 8 o'clock. These storms are moving pretty quickly. So you will be getting off right at the time that a lot of the strongest storms will be moving through.
Yeah, I would maybe hold off.
So you might have to wait a half hour, 45 minutes.
I don't like driving in the rain and thunderstorms.
Especially when it's dark.
Yeah.
So just giving you a heads up, you might have to wait a little bit. So that's something we'll watch. For those of you further to the south, you can't forget Adair County either. Right now you are nice and warm. So right now your severe threat is a little bit lower since you're further to the southeast, but it's not zero. So it's still can be keeping an eye on you. And by the way, for everybody who's been asking about the timing, we're really looking between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. That's the timing we have for the majority of the severe weather moving through. So for those of you west of 65, you're really talking that 9 to 11 time frame. And for those of you further to the east, you're mainly talking more right along 65, you're more talking the 10 to midnight. And further to the east, you're more like 11 to about 2 a.m. Just to give you a little bit more of a breakdown of that.
I have a reference.
And Ashley, the main line is going to be the one between 9 and 2 pushing through our area. Yes, to answer your question.
Let's see.
So let's see. Any other weather spotters? Yes. If you can give us reports safely.
Yeah. Never put yourself in harm's danger.
Please never put yourself in harm's way to get a picture or whatnot. But if you can wait till after the severe threat goes by your area, or you can do it safely and send us reports that way, please do. The Wave Weather app, you can easily send us pictures right in that app, and we'll be able to pull them and use them on air as well. And
they are very, very helpful.
Ashley, I love how you're always on here every time we have.
I know. It's like she hears the word tornado and she is there. I don't blame her though.
I always look for your comments every time. But any tornadoes, yes, would be more of a brief spin up situation. But there's a lot of energy to our west, and that is why the Paducah area is dealing with all of that. Do these storms include hail for Jefferson County in Kentucky?
Yeah, we could see some hail. I mean, it's still a pretty low threat. Some of the storms, when they were a little more intense, closer to St. Louis, I saw some reports of, I think it was golf ball size hail, $50 size hail. So that's big enough to not be a good situation for you or your vehicles or just to be outside. But I think it's going to be a little bit lower for us here. I wouldn't be surprised though if we still saw like pea or penny sized hail with some of the taller thunderstorms.
Okay. And Sierra had a question. Are you guys going to be live for a while or get back on later when it gets closer to Louisville? We will do what we need to do on air and on the app. If there's warnings, a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, you'll most likely see us pop back on or even do some quick cut-ins on Wave 3 itself. So we will make sure that you are updated regardless. That's why we have both of us here. This is why Brian is on standby at home with the little doggies,
Mhm.
making sure the doggies are okay
Yes.
first before
As
anything.
I've seen so many comments today about everyone's dogs and the fireworks and the
I know.
thunderstorms. Ugh,
Poor things.
I know it stinks that it's just this time of year where it's very loud.
Yeah, Ashley,
You know my anxiety.
you know my anxiety.
We promise you're not alone.
There's a reason why I drove in at 5.
Yes.
Because I completely understand. DJ, can we trade severe weather for snow? No.
Take that up with
No, that's
Good
that's a
and Kevin
Brian.
Harness.
I say no, but that's a Brian Good and Kevin Harness question.
For real. I do want to. So Brian Good, he was telling me I wanted to go back to this warning because he was
Let's talk about this severe thunderstorm warning. This is outside our area, but just a heads up for those of you who have friends and family in the Paducah area. There's an incredible amount of wind, a lot of rotation with this storm.
I'm going to clear it, so it should tell us a little bit more. There we go. Yes. So this is Marshall County. They have been hit before by a tornado.
So, and that's the thing. Observed. So there is a tornado on the ground. A spotter has reported this. So this is the Calvert City towards the Princeton area. If you have any friends or family in this region, this is certainly just give them a heads up. Cadiz towards the Hopkinsville area. Oh, I loved being in Hopkinsville for the eclipse a couple of years ago.
I know, right?
So it's certainly just one of those areas you want to make sure if you have any friends, family, that you give them, even just a plain old acquaintance or someone you knew from high school, just give them a heads up so everyone can stay safe with this observed tornado on the ground. That is not what you want to see at all.
Definitely not. Yeah, I was trying to go through and see if there were any photos because obviously someone has seen it. And some of the tornado, and this might be just an error with what they've tweeted out. Maybe it says radar indicated for that tornado warning for
probably in the chat.
So that, and also that was a couple of minutes ago, so that could be something different.
But yeah,
so
they are certainly keeping an eye on the rotation on the storm very, very closely. So once again, this is not in our area. This is down towards Paducah, and I'm just gonna loop this really quickly just to see what's going on and just look back at how it developed. Yeah, this storm really tried to blossom right as it passed south of the Paducah area. So if you have any friends in that region, just give them a heads up. Also, if you have any friends towards Madisonville, Daniel Boone, Central City, give them a heads up as well, because these storms, regardless of whether or not they are tornado warned, they are dangerous with that hail, that heavy rain, the strong wind. So you want to make sure that they know what's going on as well, because this storm has a lot of real estate before it gets to our region.
Thank goodness.
But of course, we'll be watching it. And as soon, if there is a tornado warning, we will be on, and we'll be on until it's over. We are going to do that for your safety, and also we are federally regulated to do so. So I know we get some messages sometimes that are like people rather watch other things, and we understand that if you're studying quiet in your area, but it's our responsibility, no matter where this tornado warning is in our area, to make sure that we cover it.
And when it comes to that too, you just got to think a little bit outside of your own box when it comes to. Just because it's not impacting you doesn't mean it's not impacting
someone.
Yes.
So just to go through, for those of you who are worried about the storms, just timing wise, once again, we're really watching for those of you west of 65. So just to break down what west of 65 means, we're talking from Washington County. So from Salem over towards Paoli, down towards the Litchfield area and over towards E-Town. So we're keeping an eye really on the 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. time frame for you. For those of you right along the 65 corridor, so we're talking from Seymour all the way down to Bardstown, all the way down to Greene County, straight on through Louisville. If you're right along that 65 corridor, I can say words, I promise.
I'm rubbing off on you.
It's really hard. We're talking about 10 p.m. to about midnight for you. Then for those of you from 65 East, we're really talking about that 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. time frame. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Remember, that severe thunderstorm watch goes until 11 p.m. tonight Eastern time.
And they can always extend it or expire it, basically end it early. And I don't want us to not forget about tomorrow. We have more storms tomorrow.
Yes, we have another batch of storms. And Crystal, 10 p.m. to midnight. I have to stay up late again.
Tell me about it.
If you can make sure that that phone is on, weather radio is on, and maybe take a nap now before the storms move in, that would be my recommendation if you want to be up through it. I completely understand.
Yes, we really sympathize.
We completely get it. Jessica and I literally took like naps earlier this afternoon when it was quiet to make sure that we get the information to you when we're awake. Oh, Sarah, this may be a stupid question. No stupid questions. What's the difference between EDT and EST?
So that is, what is it? Eastern Standard Time and then Eastern Daylight Time.
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk to you.
It's just daylight versus standard.
Yeah, so daylight saving and...
we just love acronyms.
Yeah. So basically, it'll say like Central if you're in the Central Time Zone, but it's just kind of dependent. It's just like a record-keeping type thing.
Yeah, it's just the way that time works. Gotta love it, right? It's all a social construct. JK. Carmen, in Louisville, no basement. Should we head to grandma's with a basement?
Oh.
Okay, so my recommendation is if you're on, what I do, because I live on the second floor of a condo. So I guess I have to call my husband now. So get used to that. What we do is we will watch the storms as much as possible.
Yeah.
And if there is a tornado warning, what we'll do is we'll go downstairs to our neighbor we're like, sorry, dearies, we got to wake you up. And we'll stay down there until the storms pass. So the lowest level of your home, if you do not have a basement, an interior room away from windows, away from exterior walls, that will be the safe place. If you feel more comfortable going to grandma's with a basement, I completely understand. But remember that tornado threat is not the thing that we're really concerned about. It's damaging wind threat, but damaging winds on their own can
still cause some problems.
So do whatever makes you feel most comfortable. Here is a good question. How do you get storm alerts? So, and you also had another question, Marissa. Is there a radio station that does radio weather updates to keep track, new to the area, and you don't know? So there's a lot of stations that will, they will put on the severe thunderstorm warnings, the tornado warnings once they do pop up. You can always get a weather radio. I know that's a little bit hard to find now in the short term, but you can always download our app. So the Wave Weather app is free. And you will get, if you have your location and notifications turned on, we'll send notifications directly to your phone, no matter where you are. And you can get notifications no matter where you are in the world. By the way, when I was in Spain a couple of weeks ago,
follow me. That's all you got to do.
Yes, hit the follow me button and it will literally follow you. Also, if you move around a lot, like travel a lot, just open back up the app and hit that follow me button to make sure that it is following you. Because sometimes with updates, it doesn't. So you want to make sure that you do that. So download the app. It is free. We'll send notifications to your phone. I got notifications of lightning when I was in Spain. That's awesome. It was very weird to hear Kevin's voice when I was on vacation. I'm just throwing that out there right now. It was very disconcerting. But it is also really good to have those alerts. Yes. And we'll send those out and you will get an alert if we have another severe thunderstorm warning or whatnot moving into the area. So just keep that in mind. Just make sure you have multiple, and we will be on air. We'll be on the app as well, live
as much as we need to be.
Going on. So that's the main thing. Just make sure you have multiple ways to get alerts. So Marissa, download. And we send alerts even on a sunny day to make sure that you know what's going on.
Yes, and you can watch our videos, and like we're constantly updating this app. Like those numbers you see for your area are what we forecast and put in there. So we work very hard to make sure it's not just like a random computer generated thing that's giving you numbers that are incorrect or something.
We are the ones putting the numbers in.
We interpret that information and data.
And we do it in 4 different sections: Indiana, the Louisville metro area, and then just outside of the metro, the suburbs, and then for those of you in parts of Kentucky. So everybody gets a personalized forecast of where they are in our coverage area. Ashley, I'm west of 65, so just to double check. 9 to 11. Yes, my dear. 9 to 11. Okay, quick question. Jenna said the videos have not been playing in my app lately.
Oh.
They load and load but never play. My suggestion, uninstall and reinstall the app.
And restart your phone too.
And sometimes restarting your phone helps.
Mhm.
Today I was on the app a lot. And for those of you who maybe have this issue, just a heads up. Sometimes if you keep the app open, when you go back into it, the radar won't load. So you'll have to close out and go back in, especially if you have an iPhone. That's more of an iPhone issue than an Android issue. So to give you a heads up on that, by the way, so just so you know what's going on. Oop, I did not mean to do that. Oopsies. This thing does not?
I know. I don't know why it's not one to stay put as the red, but that's okay. I clicked that before and it doesn't stay still. I don't know. It's
weird.
Probably a me thing.
Weird. But going back to the warnings, we got quite a few, and of course, we're still monitoring what's happening south of Paducah and Marshall County. Marshall County has just been through it in the past year, so that is just not.
They have.
What we want to see.
Looks like that they haven't issued a new. Brian Good said a rotation showing up east of Evansville, so we'll go look at that too this morning. I do want to come on. It's not wanting to click on the new warning.
There you go. That one is until 8:30 Eastern time, so 7:30 Central.
Yes. So I do want to quickly look at the winds. So there is some rotation there, certainly. Regardless, even just powerful winds.
Can you check the debris and see what that looks like?
Yes, I can.
If you don't mind, please.
Of course. Well, okay. Ooh. I wish you guys could see how many screens we have over here because it is just baffling. It is kind of mental gymnastics sometimes.
And you click one thing and something else pops up and you're just like, what's happening?
And then I'm trying to read.
And there's really small fonts.
Okay,
I'm sorry. There we go.
There we go.
I think you might
I might have clicked
the wrong. This one.
There we go. You're correct. Yeah, that looks like it might be
a little something there. That's not good. That's not what we want to see at all.
When you start to see different colors jut out like that. So basically what this shows us, when the radar beam is shooting out, there are different ways we can observe what it's hitting, basically. And it can either be very uniform objects, and that will indicate like one color, or if they're not uniform objects, like things like debris, whether that be from trees or, buildings, cars, whatever that might be, that's a little less uniform. So that's where we kind of see, we call it a tornado debris signature. That's where it can pop up like that. And that's not
what I want to see
at all. So that is what we have ongoing there right now. We're going to go a little bit further, closer to us, really.
Yeah. So let's switch over to velocity.
So these are our winds. Whoa, where am I? Okay.
There you go. So what did you say? Sorry, your phone. You're. I'm reading off of her.
I was over here like this
because my phone is too far away, so it's not even registering on mine. So
he said it looked like it was west of Holiday World. I want to say he said.
Thanks, Brian, by the way, for the live updates.
Yes.
And looking at stuff while we're also looking at other stuff.
He is at home. Yes. So it's near Holiday World. So
Santa Claus right there.
Oh, yep. There we go.
So just to the west. So switch over to the other velocity real quick.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a hook there.
So there's definitely something trying to happen.
Storms moving at 70 miles per hour.
So these are booking at highway speeds, aka slower than some of y'all drive on the road. I'm just gonna call some of you out on that.
Yeah, this is kind of when we talk about the tornado threat, this is what we mean by that. These kind of embedded, really quick spin up tornadoes that sometimes the radar doesn't even catch because they're so fast. The radar can't update in time. Yeah. So that's what...
And the tail end of these Boeing segments is where you tend to have a little bit more of this happening. So,
and there is kind of this little notch. That's not what we want to see. It's kind of where if there was rotation right in here, that's where it would more so right there. So, okay. We just got a new update. So this is a new radar scan.
Yeah. See what that is?
Move
Some
it.
very heavy rain.
And that is moving quite fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Near
a lot of rain.
Greenbrier. Yeah.
So if you have anybody in the Greenbrier Hart area, give them a heads up in Indiana, or even in the Jasper, Santa Claus, Indiana area. That's where we're seeing this next batch of storms moving right now. I know we do have some viewers in the Jasper area as well, so just giving you a heads up on these storms moving. There's probably an incredible amount of lightning with these as well.
Yeah, I have the lightning turned off because sometimes it's hard to see
what the actual radar is.
Yeah, we want to make sure we're getting a good look at that.
And this is and by the way, this is literally what we are doing in the weather office when we're not on air. We are looking. I am legitimately sitting exactly like this.
And even when we're doing storm coverage, there's usually one of us that's looking for little things like this. And obviously Brian's very good at that. So far, this is all moving in kind of an easterly direction, generally speaking.
And for those of you who are watching earlier, and this is the reason why we were, if you saw when we showed you the Futurecast, why we were like, it's not as reliable as we would like it to be, because it had those storms moving in the next 4 hours when they are literally right on our doorstep. So it is considerably behind schedule, which is why it's just so important not just to go based solely on models, but that's why it's nice to have a few extra meteorologists on here.
Yes, a few extra eyeballs to look at things
and determine how things are right now compared to where the models are saying things are right now, and then that can help us determine how things will look at moving forward. So we have those 3 severe thunderstorm warnings just outside our area. So Bar dealing with a heavy rain as well. That is incredible heavy rain as well.
So they're moving 7. Well, we have
wind speed.
Yes, we have wind speeds as high as 70 miles per hour.
I accidentally hit. I forgot that it was touchscreen. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry.
Of course it's fine. We're just gonna wait.
Technology. There we go. So I was trying to do that, and then if you hit that, it should populate. Boom. There you go.
There we go.
So 70 mile per hour wind gusts. We were talking about the damaging with that. Remember, weak hurricane is 74.
It's moving northeast at 70.
So it's moving incredibly quickly. And that is going to be one of the main things that we'll have to watch, the speed of these systems and the speed of the wind in these systems as well. So when it's moving just as quickly as the winds in it are moving, that's not what you want to see.
That is that's not ideal.
So we'll have to keep an eye on that. So anybody who knows anyone in the Patoka Lake area, just a heads up, give them a heads up if the lightning hasn't already done that.
I know I'm sure it's getting really loud down that way. So
they are updating that warning.
Oh, sorry.
You're all good.
We got so many tools that I just can't keep track of which ones we have. So it's closer to this radar site. So that means we're getting a lower scan of the storm, which can tell us if there's, how far down the winds are getting, if they're going to get closer. When we say things like the surface, we're talking about where we live and exist, because we could, obviously its winds are typically stronger at higher levels in the atmosphere. So when we start to see those kind of sink a little bit further south, we got to be careful. Whoa. Spam. Is that spam?
Yeah, let's just block that.
Oh my gosh, she won't stop.
Block these. There we go.
That should have taken care of it. Oh my gosh, there's so many.
So sorry for the spam, y'all. With the sun, so the answer that pump is ever going to shut off. Yes, the flooding is a concern still. So for those of you with those pumps, just keep that in mind over the next couple of days. But thankfully, this is almost over. We'll dry out on Monday, and then we'll be okay for the July holiday. So to answer one question, the sun going away does help to reduce the amount of energy available, but remember, it takes some time for the temperature to actually cool off and the energy to go away in the atmosphere. So there's a little bit of a delay with that. So initially, for those of you further to the west, this is why you're underneath the enhanced risk, because you still have all of that energy available to you even after the sun goes down. Now, once you get further to the east, the sun has been down for longer. That means you have less of that energy available. So it makes it a little bit harder for the storms to feed off of something. So just to answer your question, Rebecca, The further east you are, the lower your severe threat is, because you just don't have as much of that available energy, especially with the sun being down by the time it gets further to the east. But yeah, there's that wind, as we've been talking about. That's the main thing, damaging wind threat. And here we go. We have a smidgen of Crawford County, it looks like.
Yep, just got that alert. So that's going to be for Du Bois and Orange County, just like the smallest little.
Like a smidgen of it literally only includes Patoka Lake.
Yeah.
There we go. And that is until what time?
I will tell you. Stand by.
There we
go. That's the wrong county. I'm so sorry. We're going.
You might just have to query it.
I think you're right.
So for that new warning, that goes until 8:45 Eastern time for that very small part of Orange County, but it's mainly for those of you in the Jasper area, Du Bois County. Wind speed 60 miles per hour. And how quickly is the storm moving? At 60 miles per hour. So here we go. Yeah, they are booking it. My concern is if they slow down once they get further to the east, because they won't have as much to feed off of, so they kind of just get a little bit lazy and they start creeping along a little bit. And that's concerning, because then that brings up the flooding threat a little bit more, which is what we do not want to have to
Definitely not. Yeah. Just since we've had so much rain over the last couple of days, we don't need any more. So if you are having your phone go off, if you are in this very small section of Orange County, but it's just kind of honestly giving you a heads up of like, hey, it's moving further to the east. And we're likely going to see some of the stronger winds kind of shift and move further into our area. Because really the strongest of the storms are in this warning in particular near Petersburg. So they're giving us a lot of lead time. So they're giving us essentially what that means is a really big heads up of this is heading our way.
All right. Which is good to know for a lot of people who are going to be out and about. So we're just past 8. When we really get into that 9 o'clock time frame, as you were telling you, that's where we start to get to the point where we really need to be paying close attention as well. Ooh, sorry. I just saw the football play that just happened on air. I'm like,
I'm hoping this doesn't go over. It went over last weekend, like by an hour. So hopefully we don't have to worry about, is it the XFL? I believe
it's USFL. Sports. Can you tell which one of us really likes sports and which one is just like, eh?
I like being there. I'm a competitive person, but don't ask me about the rules. Don't ask me about anything specific.
I think I'm the sports nerd of the weather team. I'm just
realizing. I think you are. Yeah. I like with WKU, I would say I am, but outside of that,
just talk to me about soccer.
UL sometimes.
Okay. Hold on. So, okay. Tommy, I've seen you ask this question a few times, so I want to answer it. E-Town, you do have the potential for some strong, severe storms as we get between around 9 and 11. So keep that in mind. There's late baseball games, apparently. So once you start getting those alerts from your phone with Kevin yelling at you that there's lightning nearby, that's when you know you need to get all those, everyone playing in those baseball games back into a safe place.
You don't want to be near like the metal fences that are usually baseball fields.
Sierra, real question. Should I just keep my 4-month-old at home and not at fireworks tonight? Probably.
I mean, it would probably be a lot less stressful.
So a lot of those fireworks are going on around what? Between 9:30 and 10.
I know the Riverview Independence one. When I talked to Dawn yesterday, she said it was at 10.
At 10. So that's when a lot of the storms are going to be moving in and moving through. So it might just be better to just, especially with a kid that little.
They start at 10.
With a kiddo that little.
Just wait until 4th of July.
4th of July, by the way, looking fantastic. It's literally only day.
Yeah, it's like.
Well, they start at 10 p.m. Yes. So that is when those storms will be getting closer. So Sierra, especially with a small kid like that, might be better to stay home.
Delaney Park, north of Salem, has fireworks at 9:30.
Yeah, that's going to be impacted by these storms.
For all of you watching, try to like give other people who are not paying attention, like maybe a little bit of a heads up.
Be like, hey, I know you're planning on going to these fireworks. Just let you know. And Sierra, you're welcome. I understand with all my friends who now have small children, the logistics of carrying them around places, especially when the weather is bad, is not easy. So if you can make it a little easier on yourself, we completely understand.
Yeah, gotta take care of
the little kiddos. We're starting to see a few of those storms popping up out ahead of the main line. You gotta watch those.
Oh, gross.
We don't like to see that.
No, so we'll have to watch those.
So those are getting a little bit closer, but those are just some showers near Whitesville. So we'll watch those for those of you in Breckinridge County and Grayson County in case. And
down here.
we're gonna go back and check out the storm in the Princeton area and the tornado warnings, which was an observed tornado, by the way, on the ground. So it was reported by a storm spotter that a tornado was on the ground in that area.
And there were signs of maybe some possible debris. It's not
as clear anymore.
Yeah. And the rotation isn't quite as
and that was very
clear cut,
clear storm to track on the radar as well, because the radar is right there. Not as much of that rotation anymore, which is good. So maybe they may switch these over to severe thunderstorm warnings, which I was concerned about that getting, closer to us. So thankfully it is weakening. And one thing that we were watching less energy further to the east of Evansville. So that bodes well for us, but still we have to watch for these severe thunderstorm warnings. And just because you're sunny right now across Kentucky doesn't mean you're not going to see anything later on today. That actually just gives you a little bit more time before the storms actually start to pop up.
I think this might be a part of an outflow, possibly, or because the way it's riding right along, maybe not an outflow, but something it might try
like a boundary that is trying
some sort of boundary that it's kind of moving off of.
I agree.
See. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll have to keep an eye on those.
Sometimes it'll show us with the velocity signatures, but it's not very clear.
It's not very clear on that one.
Of course.
It might be on the Paducah one. Maybe.
So many buttons to hit. Let's see.
No, it's
not great. So
it doesn't like us today.
Essentially, we'll just kind of keep an eye out for that little area there to see how it pans out. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Ryan, good.
Okay, so they just moved our fireworks to 9:30. That bodes a little bit better for you, Sierra, but still I wouldn't risk it. As soon as we get between 9 and 10, with all the lightning in the areas, just keep in mind you can get lightning strikes 30, 40 miles per hour away from a storm. So it's just going to be the smartest thing to keep that in mind. Is that a flash flood guidance for our area?
So we could see cells with rates up to 2.5 inches an hour. Crossing saturated grounds poses likely scattered incidents of flash flooding.
Yeah, so flash flooding is starting to become
right along where these
an issue. So we just have to keep that in mind. Andre.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay, so Andre, why hasn't National Weather Service Louisville issued a tornado watch? They are not the ones who issue the watch. The Storm Prediction Center is the one that issues the watch. Now they work together to figure out where the watch is going to be and how they think about the forecast and whatnot, but they are not the ones who issue the watches. They issue more of the warnings. To clarify that, 1. 2, remember with this is mainly a damaging wind threat. So since there's not as much of a tornado threat on the table, that is why we don't have as much of a tornado watch in place. Now, that doesn't mean we can't get more tornado warnings in the areas that are underneath the severe thunderstorm watch. But remember, damaging winds is the main concern, hence the severe thunderstorm watch that is in place, to answer your question, Andre, on that. And then there was another question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're
good.
I
was looking at Brian Good is over here texting us little nuggets of information because he said velocity is getting wild as it heads to northwest Orange County.
And some other sassy statements being said, but we won't address that. Can you tell that I just love working with these people?
I know.
And Sierra, another important question. I know y'all are pretty much talking about it, but the main threat is wind and lightning. Like, I don't need to freak out. Okay, Main threats are going to be, one, the damaging wind threats. We're talking about wind gusts potentially over 60 miles per hour possible with these storms. That's the first thing. That can cause a lot of damage on its own. These straight line winds are not something to be playing around with. So that's the first thing.
I wouldn't want to be outside, just personally.
I wouldn't. Like, I don't even like being near my windows.
Point of view. I know.
And like just the personal point of view.
Yeah.
Or driving when there's 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Just I have driven through
not fun.
I've driven through a tropical storm. That was awful. You basically will be doing the same thing with this. So you don't want to do that. 1, 2, lightning, yes, a lot of it. And we know we've had so many power outages already. So we have to keep an eye on that. Hail, there's potential for some small hail with this as well. So that's the next thing that we'll be watching. And then the flooding concern, and that's something that Jessica just mentioned. The ground is incredibly saturated. We've seen rainfall rates of 2 to 3 inches per hour. So that is really going to lead to some issues.
Yeah, and essentially that just means like these storms, downpours, whatever they might be, are going to be able to produce a lot of rain over a short period of time, essentially. And that's what a part of flash flooding typically is when we see like a lot of water build up over a really short span of time, and essentially the ditches and streams or whatever, the reservoirs, I guess, might be, they can't handle it because it's too much at once. And especially, sorry, Brian Good is being funny. He says, don't call me sassy. So don't be sassy. Brian, you're forgetting some words in your text messages.
He is.
I forget what I was. We were talking about flash flooding, but it is something very serious. I don't want to discount that because it can be really scary. I've been caught up in a flash flood situation. I was actually with a tropical storm when I was in Hawaii for the first time. My phone had broken at the Atlanta airport, and we're like, we'll just go down to the mall real quick, and we'll try to get it fixed and figured out. And we're like, it'll be fine. It was not fine. We had water. Like if you were familiar with Honolulu or Hawaii, it was all throughout Waikiki. And I mean, the water was like this high up in the tires. Like it was flooding. It was terrifying.
Scary situation.
The highways were closed. You just don't want to be caught up in a situation. It's so stressful. And it's not worth the damage to your car or you.
Turn around, don't drown. I have seen so many videos of people like driving their vehicles. It's fine. Yeah. And then you just
don't be stubborn.
And then you float down the street, and then we don't want that.
and then we have to come rescue you.
And then the fact that like that damage to your car, we don't want that. So just please be careful with all of this. And by the way, if your neighborhood, certain drains get clogged really quickly with leaves and stuff, you can just clear those out before the sun goes down, maybe, if you can. That would be a really good idea. That can save a lot of issues overnight, because I know that happened at my old apartment complex. Certain drains would never will always get clogged up, so I would always take the debris out when I knew storms were coming.
Should have been paying you for that. Give me a discount.
They were nice, and I really did appreciate the management. They're really kind. But yeah, so it's just something else to think about as we move forward.
Sorry,
a lot of that. No, it's
flipping back and forth.
And forth, watching the winds. So we have some more questions. Let's see. Madeline, what about after midnight? Will we see severe weather in the middle of the night here in Bardstown? So Nelson County, you are not underneath the severe thunderstorm watch, but you're right in that time frame as we approach the 10, 11 midnight hour that you could see some of the strong storms moving through. So that doesn't mean just because you're not underneath a watch that you wouldn't get a warning. So you still want to be weather aware. That is for sure. And yes, to answer your question, Amy, the further east it goes, a lot of these storms are going to weaken, but that doesn't mean they won't still have warnings. So that's the clarification I want to make sure that we make. Just because they weaken doesn't mean they will not have warnings. So you still want to be paying attention. Maybe they won't be as strong as they are right now, but it can still cause you some issues, especially that flooding threat.
Yes, and the storms can pulse, so essentially can kind of like ebb and flow with their intensity. So that's something we look for a lot too. Usually, I feel like more so kind of isolated cells, but regardless.
Hold on. Can we answer this?
Hello, Jason.
You are currently at Patoka Lake. Jason, you are currently underneath the severe thunderstorm warning. This storm has winds of 60 miles per hour and is moving at 60 miles per hour. So, Jason, if you are out, please get to a safe place now before these storms move in. You have some time.
Barely. Doesn't mean take your time. It means you have just the right amount.
I mean, like, hop to it. Let's go. So I just saw your comment pop up, Jason. And now it's like, we have to answer this right now. So yes, you are currently underneath the severe thunderstorm warning. Incredible amounts of rain, a lot of lightning, a lot of wind with this storm, 60-mile-per-hour winds with these storms. So I'm
going to try to.
Oh, I love doing this. This is always fun.
It's kind of more of this direction.
Yeah, northeasterly direction. So just to time it out a little bit, if it keeps at the current speed, you have about, you have until 8:49, Jason, giving you a heads up for that storm to move in. So 8:50. So please, Jason, can you get to a safe spot? You're actually like made me really nervous.
Don't be on a boat or anything like that.
So if you're on a boat right now, or if you can get into a shelter, a sturdy shelter, that would be the thing to do. Ooh, Jason, you just triggered so much of my anxiety. Yeah. I'm really nervous for you right now. Allie, in a camper, can you get to please get to an actual structure.
If you can.
Even
it's like I don't know a lot about camping. Do they have
I don't know what buildings they have in that area.
Restroom,
a rest stop, something along those lines. A more sturdy structure, because with 60-mile-per-hour winds, you don't want to be in a camper in that. Sorry if I made you nervous. I did not mean to. Yeah. But I just want you to be as safe as possible.
I want you to take it seriously, obviously.
And just to go back, Allie, the main threats with this round of storms, damaging winds, some hail, and the heavy rain. Those are the three main things that we're looking at with the storms currently moving into Indiana. Oh, see, and this is, by the way, this is exactly how I act when I have friends and family who are out and about, and they're like, we're outside. And I'm like, no, please don't. This is exactly the same. I'm like, I need you to get to it as soon as possible. So yeah, those winds are incredible. So he is pointing out, sorry, we're also reading the text messages coming in from Brian.
I know, we should just FaceTime him, right?
At this point, seeing some reports of in the Alfredsville area. So this is just to your northwest. Jason, by the way, if you're still watching, some looks like some debris blowing around in terms of some trash cans. Getting some reports of some trash cans moving around. It's probably a few branches down as well. As it moves in, but that wind tracking to the northeast, you have to watch that. So basically everywhere you see the yellow on your screen, that's an incredibly strong wind moving to the north and northeast. So that's going to be basically clipping northwest of the Paoli area as it moves through that. So heading basically towards Du Bois, French Lick, Orleans, giving you a heads up on that right now as that moves through. Yeah. So remember, damaging winds, so 60-plus-mile-per-hour wind gusts, heavy rain that can cause some localized flooding issues, and that potential for hail. Those are the main things that we're going to be watching. That isolated tornado threat is low, but it is there, so we are keeping an eye on that as well. But it's really a damaging wind threat that we're watching with this. So timing that out, so 8:41, French Lick.
So sorry.
Oh, you're good. Just, moving around. Keep me on my toes.
I'm trying to make sure we can see all the places, too.
Mount Olive, 8:49. Terry Park, 8:55. Those are the timings that we're watching for those storms. I'm going to click over here real quick, just giving you a heads up. Jason, heading to the in-laws right now. Thank you very good. Keep us updated. We want to make sure you're okay. You're basically a member of the family now, Jason. So keep us updated.
Did we yell at you enough? Did we pressure you enough?
Sorry if we fussed.
Just kidding.
Sorry if we fussed too much. I feel like I go into like overprotective big sister mode. I'm just like, I just want to make sure you're okay.
Well, yeah, it's really important.
So Becky May wants to know about the other storm, if it's still tornado warning. So I guess we can go back to that. So the storm that Becky is talking about is the one that was southwest of Paducah. And it looks like they are winding down on that tornado warning as it weakens a bit. And it's more of a severe thunderstorm warning now, which is still not good, but better to see. I'd rather have a severe thunderstorm warning than a tornado warning.
Yeah, rotation is pretty, yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
That rotation is
very broad. If anything, it's not really impressive or jumping out at us. So
That's good.
Yes, that's good. There's probably still a lot of lightning with things. Yep, lots of lightning. That's going to be a very common theme with all of these storms we see, especially you're probably hearing some lightning. And oops, if I can figure out which way to zoom in and out.
Oh, dude, I get that messes with me all the time as well.
It's making me dizzy.
It's backwards of what you think it would be when you're moving the mouse.
Yes.
So that's why it catches yourself off guard.
Story of my freaking life. Okay, stream is about 2 minutes delayed from real time.
Okay, thank you. So for those of you watching, yeah, apparently there is a little bit of a delay depending on which platform that you are watching at. Sometimes Facebook's a little bit slower, and sometimes YouTube's a little bit slower. So just giving you a heads up on that as well. So yeah, I mean these storms.
Double checking that little hook, but there's nothing.
Yeah, it just I think it looks more funny than it actually is.
It looks.
So, I mean, a lot of these storms have been weakening a bit as they push further to the east, which is good.
Yes.
But we still have a lot of energy in our area right now. So we have to keep an eye on things still. It may not look as robust, I think is the word I would use here, as it did before. But that doesn't mean that we're going to be discounting what's going on either. You still want to pay attention.
Yeah. We're going to watch this little batch that's moving in from Western Kentucky. It's certainly weakened. It's not nearly as organized as it was. The northern batch is a little more organized than what we have down further closer to Western Kentucky, but sun's not down yet.
Do you mind pulling up the temperatures really quickly?
Yes,
please.
Just kidding.
S'il vous plaît, por favor. I don't know how to say it in Italian, otherwise I would. Okay, so still upper 70s, low 80s. So it's still pretty warm out there. It's still a decent amount of energy available. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. You're a little bit cool there in Columbia. What are y'all doing? 73.
Oh, refreshing.
That's refreshing. You guys have had a few more clouds, so that would. I do
want to take a look at the SkyTrack cameras. Yeah, it's getting a little more overcast.
Yeah, more of those upper clouds moving in. So that's to be expected. I
do want to talk a little bit about tomorrow before things start getting a little crazy. Let's see. Sierra says we are going to do fireworks at my house just in case it does get bad. We have shelters, but what time should we do it? Where did you say you were at again? Was it Southern Indiana? Sorry.
Yeah, I think she's right along 65. I can't remember myself either.
That will play a part. I mean, I would do it sooner rather than later because 9 o'clock is kind of the
Madison, Indiana. You got a little bit of
okay
leeway.
Yeah, you probably have some time then. Probably closer to 10 o'clock.
I would say closer to 9:30, but before 10 maybe, especially with the 4-month-old.
Yes, I think the storms will probably get there by around 10, but yeah, like 9:15, depending on how many fireworks you're working with. And how crazy you're going to be getting.
And how much you want your neighbors to love you after it's over.
I just feel bad for all the dogs.
Yeah. Also, if you have dogs that don't like the lightning and thunder and fireworks, get them those nice little thunder shirts. Have a fan on those nice little National Geographic shows. Because I know the little puppies don't really like it. So make sure you're taking care of the four-legged friends as well. With all of this. But yeah, you want to talk about tomorrow. I'm sorry.
No, it's totally fine. I mean, obviously tonight is kind of utmost importance because it's literally right. Yeah, it's right on our door. But doorstep, is that the right? Yes. We are going to see another round of showers and storms tomorrow. These are going to be more of a cluster, probably in one main round again. We'll see just a little bit earlier on in the afternoon. Same impacts though that we're going to be expecting that we are going to see tonight, that we'll likely see those again tomorrow.
So you're telling me push back by bedtime?
Yeah. If you're not here helping me.
I'm usually in bed by 7. So
I was going to say, you do actually have to go to sleep tomorrow night. So it'll probably be me and Be Good, or maybe Ryan Hook if he's back from vacation. But let's talk Futurecast. Again, Futurecast has not been very great for us. So take everything with a grain of salt. But we're just kind of overall looking at the trends of how things are setting up.
Once again, this is Sunday for those of you just jumping in.
Yes, Sunday. So this is when we could expect another round of strong storms. We'll see them kind of blossom, bubble up during the peak heating of the afternoon, stick around, they kind of wash themselves out. After the sun goes down, we're in better shape.
Okay.
I feel like it's a little more simple.
I like the fact that it's during the daytime, so a lot more people can be paying attention to what's going on.
Awake.
That's because I personally do not like it when it's at night. But one thing that's good is that a lot of people are out and staying up a little bit later now that it's the holiday weekend.
True.
So that kind of helps us out with the situation. But if you know anybody who's like me, who's like, regardless of the situation, they're going to sleep early, you're gonna make you can just make sure
Tawana,
they're fully
not even early.
aware.
It's the middle of the day when Tawana goes to bed.
Always have to make sure that Tawana gets her sleep. So let's see. Clarksville, Indiana. So Nikki, we're in Clarksville and live in a mobile home. Do you think we should go to our safe place, or we should be okay? The way the storms are looking right now with the 60+ mile per hour wind gusts, I would be prepared to go to a safe place if you need to. These storms are weakening, yes, but if they hold on to the strength they currently have right now, I would recommend give yourself some time. So just keep an eye on the forecast, but I would certainly have that as a good plan.
I would say if you get a warning for sure, I would probably take that seriously. Like even if it's just not just a severe thunderstorm warning, you should probably still be careful because it's probably going to be due to the strong wind gusts. So just be careful. Let's see. Ashley, another question. She says, so does my threat end at 11 for my area?
Girl. We'll say midnight for you, Ashley.
And in all honesty, too, a lot of the storms, like the leading edge of them, are going to be the most intense. So once they get there, within I would say probably the first 5 to 10 minutes will be the most intense for most of these outside of the heavy rainfall potential. Let's see. Did we get a new
warning? It's just outside.
That is.
Oh, Jason just pulled into the in-laws. Okay. Yes.
Thank you for letting us know.
Thank
Martin
you.
and Lawrence County.
Okay, we're glad you're okay. I was so glad that you're okay. Yeah, the fact that you immediately said Patoka Lake and we were like, oh no.
Like, we're talking about
so
that.
The storms are just outside your area, so they're getting closer. So you made it in good time. We're good. Really happy that you're good. So for those of you in Bedford, I know we have a lot of viewers who watch in Bedford. So Bedford area, heads up, you have these storms moving in. Wind speed, you're good. 60 mile per hour wind gusts, some small hail, and these are booking it. These are moving pretty quickly as well at 60 miles per hour. These have been racing along.
Checking Tawana.
No, good. You know I can take you.
She's not wrong. I lost to an arm wrestling contest with both my niece and nephew, who are younger than the age of 10.
So we're gonna get her lifting some weights soon.
Anywho,
is all I heard. But yeah, so that's been thunderstorm warning for Lawrence County, Martin County until 9:15 p.m. Eastern. So it's once again the damaging wind threat that we are watching
for the next 30 minutes.
So we'll have to keep an eye on this.
I want to see the overall direction that we have these going in, and I believe it's kind of northeasterly. Yeah, it's for this little cluster
right there. So the one that is clipping the northwestern portions of Orange County, which I'm surprised they didn't include that in the.
Yeah, I guess they're looking at more than likely the core of the storm,
kind
of right here.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming.
There's still some gusty winds with that though, so we'll watch it. Yeah, they're doing the core. I see why. Yeah, that makes sense. Near Mitchell Tree, all of that wind there.
Very broad, weak rotation, but we'll watch it. Okay.
And then some more of that strong Patoka Lake. Look at all the wind that's right there right now. Yeah, good thing. I'm really, really happy, Jason, that you made it safely. Yeah, that is. Can you mind querying that? Oh, you switched it. She switched it already. Sorry, I'll let you. She's been awake for way too long. I'm really good at being professional, guys. Slowly take over here. No, you're really good at being professional. No, you're great. I drop things all the time. It's fine. Anybody else do that thing where you hit your shoulder on the door when you're walking by? We're seeing winds 50 to 60 miles per hour with the storm that is currently moving into the Patoka Lake area. So really happy that you are out and about and out of there, Jason. Really good. Okay, so Lake Will in East Louisville, 31st level apartment with no basement or storm shelter. Have to wake up at 5 a.m. I good to sleep or I should stay up. This sounds like me a couple of years ago. First floor, you're good. If you do not have a window in your bedroom and it's more of an interior room, even better. If you have multiple ways to get alerts and you are a light sleeper, I think you're okay.
Yeah. See, I'm not a light sleeper, so I've said that several times today, but it is not ideal.
So we always
Even
keep
for my
her
alarms,
awake.
yes.
I wake up with most things.
So it looks like I did see that they switched to just basically special statements. Let's see.
So we're currently also trying to get more information from Brian as well. So they're switching from warnings more to special statements. So basically another version to get updates. So it's not as significant as a warning, but it still tells you that there's potential to get some sort of impact from this.
Kind of
so as these storms weaken, which we were expecting, which is some good news there, that they are not putting out as many warnings anymore for these cluster of cells. So that is certainly some good news. And we're very, very happy to see that as well. So good news right there. Oh, and you're welcome, Lakeville. I got you.
It was very loud in North Vernon last night.
Jason, you always call in. We always appreciate you. But you could see some strong storms moving towards you. Yeah, Jason, we're keeping an eye on the Telecity stuff to head towards your area right now. So just a heads up on that. Just look to your west, Jason. You're always great with giving us those reports. So if you can send those in as well safely, keep it up. Jason is great. Jason always calls and
our last name is so similar
as well. So yeah, Dobson.
Dobson. Everyone always thinks my last name is Dodson. It's Dob.
Flip the letter around.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that lightning. So yeah, not as much lightning, which is good.
Yeah, when we start to see like a downward trend of the lightning, less lightning strikes, that's when we kind of get a better idea of the intensity of the storm. We talk about pulsing storms. So as the lightning count is kind of going down, that usually is like, okay, it's not as strong. It's showing weakening trends.
Okay. Do you mind looking a little bit further to the south? See what's happening in Kentucky, please.
I do mind.
Thank you.
Just kidding. I can't help it. I gotta mess with
her. We're basically like sisters at this point. So it still has some strong storms towards the Madisonville area. Pretty happy, but that's certainly not as looking as impressive as it did earlier.
No,
so that's some good news too.
Much more disheveled.
Disheveled is an excellent way to put it.
Thank you. I relate a lot to that word. It's true.
But yeah, so we're going to continue keeping an eye on that as well. So I keep realizing that I'm moving away from the microphone. But there's a couple of isolated downpours. They're going to probably try to pop at the tail end of that line. So we'll have to watch the Breckenridge County, Grayson County, Crawford County area. Heads up if you're in Crawford County, Indiana. This is where we are seeing some of that heavy rain moving towards you. Not underneath a warning or anything along those lines, but you're certainly seeing some heavy rain, a lot of lightning heading in your area right now. So
sorry, spam email. This is where we're starting to see a little bit of that. Ooh.
Yeah, that
trying to form into a line, probably a boundary storms. There.
So a lot to watch.
Lightning is starting to pop southwest of the city. I wonder if he is looking at the same
thing
stuff
that we are most likely. Great minds think alike.
Aw, yeah. That's why we're such great coworkers. Whoops.
Yeah, he's the older brother I didn't know I wanted. That's a good way to describe Brian Good. The older brother I didn't know I wanted and needed. He is great. But yeah, so yeah.
Oh, but gotta watch. Yes. So sorry, Brian. I wish we just FaceTimed you.
I love how he is watching and giving us live updates on what he is watching as well.
He's like in the background. He's letting us know he's there. Sorry, I just want to look.
It's like a comfort blanket, you know.
He is. Yes.
He's like a weighted
security blanket. He's like our thunder buddy.
So for Jason, just a heads up, since you were at Patoka Lake, those storms are currently moving in to that area right now. So I hope you are nice and settled at the in-laws now. So yeah, so we're watching Orange County, Crawford County. So we're mainly talking the Patoka Lake area. Ooh, that was hard to say for some reason there. Heads up for those of you in English, Paoli, that these storms are getting closer to you. So just want to let you know that those are on the way. And then we're watching the Lewisport area, the Tell City area, and just a heads up as well for those of you in Cloverport. Some of those storms are trying to move towards you and develop a little bit further to your west too. So much to watch today.
Nice little downpour.
A lot to keep an eye on, certainly, for today. So any other questions before we take a little bit of a break?
Sorry, my stomach is rumbling. I need a little snack.
Hence why I said that, because I heard it. So we're
a lot of the warnings.
A lot of the warnings have tapered off, which is good news. So just to break down one more time before we head out of here and we go get Jessica a snack as soon as possible. So we're watching.
Obviously, everyone's important at home too.
Yeah. So we're watching these storms moving in. They have been weakening, which is some good news, but we still have enough of that unstable air in our area for some more of these storms to fire up. So we're not completely out of the woods in terms of the severe threat. For those of you west of 65, we're talking about the 9 p.m. to around 11 p.m. time frame for your severe threat. Along the 65 corridor, we're talking more about 10 to midnight for you. And if you're further to the east, we're talking more about that 11 o'clock to around 2 a.m. timeframe, depending on how quickly these storms can move out. It's the damaging wind threat that we have to watch, that potential for hail. Heavy rain may cause some localized flooding, especially if some of these storms kind of slow down a little bit more. Just got that other severe thunderstorm warning just outside of our area, so we'll be keeping an eye on that because, of course, as we just mentioned, all of that instability is still around the region, so we'll have to keep an eye on all of that closely. With a lot of these storms happening tonight, just make sure you have multiple ways to get alerts, whether it's the Wave Weather app, whether it's you're watching us on TV, whether it's you're keeping an eye on the Wave Weather, weather radio, just multiple ways to get alerts. And for tonight as well, for those of you who may be going to sleep within the next hour or two, make sure that phone is charged just in case the power goes out, so you can make sure you get the alerts that you need to get. That's going to be one of the big things. That's super important as we continue throughout the night tonight. So in terms of rainfall, there's no guarantee, but some of these rainfall rates have been around 2 to 3 inches an hour. So that's something we have to watch closely.
A good little
flooding threat, which we don't need, but of course, what we are watching as we move forward.
And if there's anything that's terribly concerning, we will either pop on here or if necessary, we'll go both on here and on air.
Yeah.
So
you'll have one of the two of us doing something somewhere.
We'll be giving you the heads up for sure.
Okay. So thank you everyone for watching. We're going to continue to keep an eye on all of this as well. And we will pop back on as soon as possible if anything does become a little bit more severe, a little bit more active across the area to keep you in the know. So just keep that in mind. And we also have the 11 o'clock show as well. So you can watch us there. Well, you watch her.
That will be a big update because it'll kind of give us a reset of, all right, where do we stand? Have we seen any damage? Where is it heading? You know, the intensity of it. So that'll be a really good update for us.
Yeah. So we'll be keeping an eye on all this for you. Check our social media platforms as well. Twitter is going to be, I know there's been some issues with Twitter today, but Twitter is going to be one of the main areas that you can get the warnings first, in addition to the app as well. So just want to make sure that we can all stay safe and secure on a night like tonight. And we are going to be here with you. And I'm going to be here with Jessica for as long as may be. It's like she likes me or something.
She doesn't seem as excited as I am.
No, I adore her. She's great. So we're going to keep an eye on everything.
And
we'll watch it for you. So y'all stay weather aware. Y'all be careful. And by the way, if you have any questions, just DM us on social media. We'll most likely answer those for you as well. So
we'll do our best.
We'll get to it, and we will be back later on tonight if need be. Have a good night, y'all.
Bye. Stay safe.